MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Monday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. We begin in Stillwater County this morning, where firefighters are battling a 2,000-acre wildfire that forced residents of 150 homes near Nye to evacuate. Any homes within the pink boundaries of this map fall under the evacuation order. The Red Cross has set up an evacuation site at the Absaroka Fire Hall. Officials say Annapro Arena and the Absaroka Evangelical Church are also available for evacuees. The Trout Creek fire started Saturday night. Multiple fire crews are battling the flames, including helicopter teams, which dumped water on the fire Sunday evening. A pre-evacuation notice was also sent out to some residents of Sweetgrass County. Residents in the Stockade and West Bridger Creek are advised to protect their livestock and be prepared to evacuate in the near future. In Rosebud County, a wildfire shut down Highway 39 between Colstrip and Lame Deer. The road was still closed as of 2 o'clock this morning. That's according to the Rosebud County Sheriff's Office. This is what the fire looked like just before 1 o'clock this morning. The Richard Spring Fire has burned an estimated 10,000 acres 10 miles north of the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. The fire was reported yesterday afternoon. Now, national news. After swallowing 2 towns last week, the Dixie Fire has grown to become the second largest wildfire in California history. It's burned over 490,000 acres and continues to spread. No deaths have been reported in connection to the fire, but 4 people are unaccounted for. There are 107 large wildfires burning in 15 states, and more than 2.2 million acres have burned. Now it's time to get a check of weather with Miller on this Monday. Good morning. Hopefully that rain yesterday helped out with some of those fires.
Yes, and unfortunately that may be about it for the rest of the week. We've got high pressure building up behind a cold front. Now, one of the benefits of the cold front is going to be cooler today. Some of us may not get out of the 70s today. I think we're going to hit 80 here in Billings, but much cooler than it was yesterday. Right now we're sitting at 56, humidity's at 80%, so definitely still some moisture behind that front. We could still see a few sprinkles this morning, especially the further east you go in the viewing area. Winds out of the west at about 10 miles an hour. Let's crunch those numbers. Yesterday's high of 97. It was shy of a record. We had to get into the 100s for the record, but still warmer than normal. We'll cool down today. No rain in the forecast moving forward, but we got a little bit of rain yesterday here. Not even 1/10 of an inch. Down in Livingston, though, we got just over 2/10 of an inch of rainfall, and that should be about it. And that's not good news because the drought situation continues to get worse. Right now you do still see some rain between Huntley and Harlan, where we're sitting at temperatures in the mid-50s. We do have some rain over there at Livingston, where you're in the 40s right now. Look at you. Highs today 70s and 80s. You can see that rain moving away from the area, and that's about it. Now we've got cold front number 1. Cold front number 2 comes in on Wednesday. What does that do for us temperature wise? I'll let you know with the main forecast coming up here in just a bit.
All right, sounds good, and I will get back to the news. Thanks, Miller.
Okay.
COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations continue to surge across the country despite half of Americans being fully vaccinated. The U.S. is now reporting an average 100,000 infections per day, up from 11,000 in late June. Pediatric cases are also soaring as more students head back to the classroom. On a more positive note, Canada reopened its border to vaccinated Americans this morning. Americans will need a negative COVID test before traveling to Canada. Canadians can start visiting the U.S. on August 21st. Europe's drug regulator is recommending that 3 more reactions be added as possible side effects of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. The committee says low blood platelets, dizziness, and ringing in the ears should all be added to the label. Officials say they reached their conclusion based on scientific literature as well as cases of suspected side effects reported to Johnson & Johnson. U.S. senators will not start their August recess today, but will prepare to consider passing the $1 trillion infrastructure proposal. The Senate voted 68 to 29 last night to end formal debate on the bill. Any proposed changes at this point must be approved by unanimous consent by all senators. The process requires senators to wait 30 hours before taking a final vote on the proposal, unless all members of the Senate agree to take a vote earlier. As of now, a final vote will likely be held tomorrow morning. The New York State Assembly plans to meet today to discuss its impeachment investigation into Governor Andrew Cuomo. This, as a former executive assistant to the governor says he needs to be held accountable for allegedly sexually harassing her and 10 other women. CBS's Elise Preston has more.
He groped me. He touched me.
In an exclusive interview with CBS This Morning in the Times-Union, Brittany Commisso detailed the harassment she says she was subjected to at the hands of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo in 2019 and 2020.
They started to be hugs with kisses on the cheek, and then there was at one point a hug, and then when he went to go kiss me on the cheek, he quickly turned his head and he kissed me on the lips.
Commisso, who was previously identified as Executive Assistant Number 1, is among 11 women an independent investigation found to have been sexually harassed by the governor. On Friday, she filed a criminal complaint against the governor with the Albany Sheriff's Office, which could lead to criminal charges.
The governor needs to be held accountable.
And just so I'm clear again, being held accountable to you means seeing the governor charged with a crime.
What he did to me was a crime. He broke the law.
Appearing on CNN over the weekend, the governor's attorney pushed back against Commisso's claims.
He did not grope her, and there was evidence that was provided by several individuals to the Attorney General about potential motives for her to have made that claim.
On Sunday, Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson joined the chorus demanding Cuomo resign.
No woman should have to go to the workplace and have to choose between a paycheck and being assaulted.
Governor Cuomo denies all accusations of sexual harassment or unwanted advances and says he will not step down. The New York State Assembly is expected to finish an impeachment inquiry against him later this week. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
You can see the full interview later today on CBS This Morning. And this news coming in late last night. Governor Cuomo's top aide has stepped down from her role. In a statement, Melissa DeRosa said the last 2 years have been emotionally and mentally trying. She added she is forever grateful for the opportunity to have worked with such talented and committed colleagues on behalf of the state. The city of Chicago is mourning after a police officer was shot and killed during a routine traffic stop over the weekend. 29-year-old Ella French was a 3-year veteran of the force. Her partner was seriously wounded in the incident. So far this year, at least 11 Chicago police officers have been hit by gunfire. French is the first to die. Mayor Lori Lightfoot declared Sunday a day of mourning and said gangs and guns are the city's enemy, not police. President Joe Biden recently extended the pause on student loan payments through January. Reporter Joe St. George takes a look at what the chances are some of that debt will actually be forgiven.
How much has the Student Loan Forbearance Program helped Americans with federal student loans? Well, from March of last year when the program started to the end of January when it's now set to end, $110 billion is estimated to be in the hands of Americans instead of the federal government. The no payment pandemic policy has helped those with debt who are out of work especially. And for those who never lost their job, it's resulted in a bit more spending to jumpstart the economy. The White House indicating over the weekend this will be the last extension. And come the beginning of February, all Americans should be prepared to pay their loans again. While it's possible the president extends it one more time, just like he has done with the eviction moratorium, a bigger question is, will student loan forgiveness take place this year? Many progressives want the White House to do it unilaterally. Many conservatives say that would overstep presidential authority. Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the most powerful Democrat in the House, made news with this answer in a recent press conference.
People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
But while President Biden has been reluctant to endorse student loan forgiveness, and while Speaker Pelosi is now reluctant to do so as well, when you speak to some progressives here on Capitol Hill, they say they're not done with the issue and they think real action could take place this year.
That is going to create, I believe, a very strong political pressure point.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of the leading progressives in the House and tells us the student loan debate isn't going away. She disagrees with the speaker. She thinks the president has the power to cancel debt on his own.
Do you see any movement from the president or the speaker regarding forgiveness?
Well, I do think that there is some movement in place. So earlier this year, very quietly, the president called on the Department of Education to start issuing and studying his executive authority in student loan forgiveness. If they return with the conclusion that the president has the legal authority, which we know and believe that he does have, I think there'll be a significant step forward.
While the White House continues to review what presidential authority President Biden has, the House of Representatives and Representative Ocasio-Cortez will become increasingly influential in the coming days. Debate on that bipartisan infrastructure bill, as well as a separate partisan spending package, is expected to take place in that chamber soon. Student loan forgiveness will potentially be part of the conversation. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Thank you, Joe. In other news, athletes from around the world are returning to their home countries after an Olympics like no other. CBS's Bradley Blackburn has more on the closing ceremonies and the legacy of the 2020 Summer Games.
It ended with a bang. After a year of waiting and 16 days of games, the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo are over. At the closing ceremony, American javelin thrower Kara Winger carried the U.S. flag into another empty stadium. More than 200 nations participated in a smaller than normal ceremony. The Olympic cauldron was extinguished, and most athletes are already back home. Due to COVID rules, they had to leave Japan 48 hours after competition. It was an unusual Olympics that may be remembered most for a decision not to compete.
At the end of the day, we are humans before athletes.
Back in Texas, gymnast Simone Biles spoke with President Biden and the First Lady via Zoom. They called her choice to pull out of key events to focus on her mental health a victory.
You set an example. I really mean it. Simone.
But there were plenty of medals too. The U.S. finished on top with 113 and more gold than any other country. The majority of that count was thanks to dominance by American women. Allison Felix won 11 medals, beating Carl Lewis's longtime record as the most decorated track and field athlete. Gymnast Suni Lee wore her all-around gold yesterday as she was celebrated in a hometown parade in Minnesota. And in women's basketball, Team USA took gold for the 7th games in a row.
Couldn't be more happy. This is always really difficult to win a gold medal.
Athletes will have just 3 years to get ready again. The Olympic baton now passes to Paris for the 2024 Summer Games. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
And if you are a big fan of the Olympics, the wait is actually even shorter. The Winter Games will take place in just about 6 months. That's February 2022 in Beijing, China. And now closer to home, the friendly rivalry between the Billings Police and Fire Departments played out on the baseball diamond over the weekend. The game was for bragging rights, of course, but more importantly, to raise funds for charity. Officers and firefighters split the proceeds between the Muscular Dystrophy Association and the Billings Education Association. The game was played at Dealer Park, and the athletes certainly took it serious.
You know, we work together out in the field and support the community, and we're on a lot of calls together, but we come here today and we shake hands, but then we're going after it to win. So everybody wants to win, and we want to be able to beat them and have the bragging rights and be able to carry that on year to year.
The police department came on top, winning 6-4. Organizers hope to make the charity game an annual event. Thank you so much for starting your Monday with us here on Montana This Morning.